Faso, October 26th to November 8th. During this trip to Burkina Faso, the typical Sahel investment group is going to be overseeing, managing the trade fair. This trade fair is a global fair to get all Africans, African Americans, African Caribbeans, everyone on the same platform. We are going to be trading among each other. Now, we watch as the world shifts its focus. No longer charity going to Africa. It is not about trade. Let's trade among each other and come and be a part of this trade fair. Come to Burkina Faso. ADDI is going along to Burkina Faso, and the typical Sahel investment group will be there as well, which is the SPV of ADDH.
And I heard that you visited Burkina Faso.
Yes, I'm going back again next month.
Yeah.
There are 1,000 Americans who have received citizenship in Burkina Faso. So I'm going there with ADDI, Mama Chiombori, with Patrice Lumumba, PLO Lumumba, and myself to welcome those 1,000 Pan-Africanists and Black Americans who have been given full citizenships in Burkina Faso. I may even get one for myself also.
Yeah, that will suit you. But there's a lot of positive PR on the Burkina Faso leader.
Yeah.
Is the PR matching what is happening on the ground?
I was there.
Yeah.
I saw the tomato factories. I saw the constructions. I saw the roads. I saw the agricultural projects. I saw the universities. Burkina Faso is under construction.
How different is it from what is happening in Zimbabwe?
Oh, Zimbabwe, you're doing very well. Very well. Don't even listen to the public media of opposition politics. When MDC, CCC, and then the Vele thing that is always complaining. I mean, the road right now between Bulawayo and Victoria Falls is under construction. Beautiful projects happening there. Manise is here. One of the biggest steel companies in the whole world. Of course, I feel bad. I wish Strive Masiwa had been the one to invest here. But unfortunately, the Chinese have done that. And then you have these stupid little young boys on the internet who are complaining about the Chinese taking over our country. And on the same page, they're saying Strive is the biggest billionaire in Zimbabwe. But we have not seen the impact of his billions in Zimbabwe. In fact, Zimbabwe has one of the highest data costs in the whole world. The whole world.
They argue that maybe the economy.
No, Zigo, you're a grown-up boy, man.
Yeah.
How bad can we be that you're a billionaire?
I first came to Ghana, in December 2019 and fell in love with the place. The Holy Spirit was strong on me. I left here crying because I knew I'd found something special. I found a culture of people who praise God first, the ancestors, respect for the ancestors second, respect for the elders, which is anybody older than you, respect for yourself and everybody else. This is a country where I found African people, black people who genuinely try to live in peace, practice peace as a way of life. And this is a blessing to bring us full circle here. This is true Pan-Africanism. God bless Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. God bless Marcus Garvey. God bless Malcolm X and all the rest of the brothers that came before us that made this day possible. For me, the descendant of slaves, my great-great-grandfather was born in Texas in the 1850s and on my mother's side in Alabama in the 1850s. And here I am today, proudly about to become a Ghanaian citizen, reunited with my African family, reunited with my black family, reunited with the continent that birthed us all, the motherland. This is an honor, a privilege. I don't even deserve it, but I'm so grateful and happy to be here.
To the Prime Minister of the Great Republic of Burkina Faso, the entire government of Burkina Faso, to the citizens of Burkina Faso, we want to thank you for welcoming us once more back home to Burkina Faso. We were here last year. There were 130 of us. Mr. President, Captain IBRAHIM Traoré we are back with 4 times that number. In your speech last year, you called all of us to be ambassadors of Burkina Faso. We want you to know we took that instruction very seriously, and we have been the ambassadors of Burkina Faso. In spite of the negativity coming out of some corners of this world, the descendants of the formerly enslaved you see today, they are the renegades who said, we know the truth about Burkina Faso, and that no one is going to tell us not to go home to Burkina Faso. So it is my honor to introduce you to your children in the diaspora, particularly descendants of the formerly enslaved who are here to complete the journey of return on behalf of their ancestors. When the children of Africa were taken out of Africa as slaves, all they ever wanted to do was to go back home. So right here in Burkina Faso, we have a president who understands that it is a sad situation that over 400 years later, not a single African head of state has called for the children of Africa to come back home. President IBRAHIM Traoré is making that call. It is here in Burkina Faso that we shall conclude the journey of return. And all of you are bringing with you the spirits of your ancestors to put them back to rest right here in Burkina Faso. So, Mr. President, we're here to show our solidarity with the Sahel nations. We spent the first week having conversations which we called Pan-African conversations, where we spoke truth to power, where we talked about the issues that we felt were pivotal in order for Africa to move forward based on the realities of today. And that resolution that we came up included issues such as discussions pertaining to establishment of a Pan-African television and a Pan-African radio station, which is going to be based right here in Burkina Faso. We felt that was a good place to start in order to counteract the negativity coming out of Western media. We need to undo the lies. We need to undo the misinformation. Children of Africa at home and in the diaspora deserve to know the truth and nothing but the truth. There are many other issues that are in the resolution which shall be presented to you through the Foreign Ministry. But in our resolution, we were committed. And we are showing our solidarity, and we are letting the world know, as a united front of African diaspora, we support the Sahel nations. The fearless and transformational leadership coming out of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali must be supported by any means necessary. Your Excellency, Mr. President, as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, you represent everything we have ever wanted in an African man.
Yeah, welcome back, family from Africa and across the world. And I just want to speak to the black people from Africa and from diaspora. When you see the coming back of African American to the Africa, what comes in your mind? Because don't forget that the people who enslaved us played the role, a very huge role to make sure that such thing will never come to happen. We know this, that they played a role to make sure that Africans from diaspora and Africans in Africa never come to unite, because they believed if they allow such thing to happen, then maybe they're going to lose. They're going to lose their dominance. They're going to lose all their efforts they put during that time. They are going to lose everything. They're going to lose control and dominance over Africa. And they played this because they have some their own targets. You know, when the slavery, the colonizers came here in Africa, they came and learned something from Africa. They tried to study Africans, and they find that Africans were very strong. Africans were very strong, that they could have not just come and defeat them that easily. So they came with a polite way and start to introduce some things in Africa, which was like a bait to make sure that Africans fall for it. And after that, that's when they find an idea of how they can capture Africa. That's when the whole things like slavery and colonization came in. So from this, you know, before they started slavery, they were doing some nice things to Africans so that to make Africans believe that these people were very good, they were very kind, but their target was not to treat Africa well or to teach Africans anything. But through that, the people who started to awaken those days and start to resist, that's when the force came in, and that's when the Africans were started to be killed, and many of the Africans were started to be killed. Those who resisted, and some of them were forced to flee their homes and entered the forest or jungle to go and fight there, to go and live there. So that's when the slavery started, and from there, Africans who were captured, they were transported to Europe, to America, to go and fight for the Germans, to fight for the America, for Europe, because those time Africans were very strong, and they would have added more manpower to the European military system, because at that time their system were already weak and they were ready to be defeated. And now, after this process, they came to make sure that Africans don't unite. And that's why they put some allegations, some accusation, telling Africa, exposing Africa in a negative way, telling Africans or the world that Africa is not a good place to be. As long as you are not an Africa, you are not in Africa, then you are not supposed to go in Africa, because Africa is very bad, is very poor, is very dirty. But at the same time, as they have been telling the world about how Africa is, how bad Africa looks like, they have been coming here in Africa to explore, to take our resources. They come for vacation. So I wonder if they can be telling the world the negativity about Africa. Why are they coming in Africa? Because when you go to the tourist section, 90% of the tourists here in Africa are the Europeans. They are white people. They're the ones who are spending much money to come and visit Africa, to explore in Africa. Because I believe if America or Europe would have been the best place than Africa, then I don't feel or think if they would have been spending all this money to come in Africa to just to explore, just for vacations, while they have left the best places in their countries or in their lands. So, since IBRAHIM Traore came to power, things started to change. And in Africa, we had a different narrative. We have seen African Americans who have relocated back to Africa in a large number. And they are not only coming for vacation, but they are relocating to Africa for good. They are coming to live. Many of them have been offered a free African identities. And this is an achievement, because if I started by asking, what comes in your mind when you see a large number of African Americans relocating back to Africa? This is an achievement that any African should celebrate, because this was not an easy task. People who enslaved us, they played a very huge part to make sure that such thing will never happen. So when they see this happening today, they must be worried. They must confused because they are expecting much to come out of it, and it's not a misunderstanding. It's not. They are not just being worried for nothing, but for real. And the fact remains that something big is coming out of this. When you go in Burkina Faso today, the country that has been oppressed, has been poor, and has never been even known on the African map is a different country that many African countries are not able to reach where they are today. When you go in Burkina today, there are many companies, factories. When you go to Burkina today, they have their own motor farms, whereby they're producing they're manufacturing their own electric motors. They are not transporting their tomatoes because in Burkina Faso they harvest a lot of tomatoes. They are not exporting their tomatoes, but they are refining from their own factories. They export as a finished goods, as a finished products. From these, the country is gaining a lot of income. Their economy is now well stable. So all these African Americans who are coming to Africa, first of all, you have to know that we are coming to combine ideas and more knowledge from different people. The people who live in America, the Africans from diaspora, they have their own ideas, their own knowledge. When they come to unite with Africa, they put together these ideas, then automatically something big is going to come out of this union. So I love to follow up the videos or speeches of Dr. Arikana Chiombore, because this is one of our greatest Pan-Africanists who is doing very great, who is doing much to unite Africa, who is fighting for the freedom and the unity of Africa, together with Captain IBRAHIM TRAORE, Julius Malema, Patrice PLO Lumumba, and many more other leaders who are fighting for this. In Ghana, I can't forget the leader of Ghana, who has played a major part to unite Africans, and by calling upon all the African Americans who are willing to come back to Africa, and he issued Ghanaian identities to those peoples. So at this time, they are legal migrants of Ghana. So this is an effect that's coming to happen in Africa that many people don't know. Many people today in Africa still view these Black Americans as foreigners. Many still view them as tourists. But what you have to know as an African, that you have to unite with these people as a brother and sister, because these are some of our brothers and sisters who are separated from us many years ago. And this happened because of some other people's interest. They knew well that when they achieved doing this, then they are going to make sure that they scatter Africa, they take down Africa. So from those days, because the African continent before slavery, before colonization, Africa was great. Africa was doing crazy things. Africa had the best inventors. But all their invention was put down, was buried, and some of the whites came and took over all those inventions, and they go to revive it, and they came up with it, and they were celebrated as, in Europe, it was celebrated as a revolution to physics or to science. They were celebrated. But all that they were coming up with was started in Africa. It was African properties that was taken out of Africa and go to be advanced in Europe, and they called themselves the inventors. So today the world is existing from the inventory and the ideas of the great Africans. So all that's happened today here is that we are trying to fight so hard to reunite all the blacks across the world so that they can come back to Africa, to motherland, reconnect with their DNA, reconnect with their bloodline. And from there, then I believe that the spirits of enslaved African Americans, the spirits of our great Pan-Africans are going to work supporting all these people together and make sure that Africa is liberated, Africa is free, and Africa rules as how it was planned, as how it was expected.
This issue of Burkina Faso and Captain IBRAHIM Traore has suddenly become one of the biggest political issues in the world, trending regularly on social media. My own interview with our dear friend and guest Nico House on this very subject, literally on this exact subject, is one of our biggest, most viewed clips in all the history of the mother of all talk.
So at this time, we are in a position of wishing that at least we can achieve this agenda by 2063, by 2050. The coming generation have to come and find a liberated Africa, a free African continent, but not a continent that is still being colonized, being dictated, and being controlled by some people who are not Africans, who are out of African continent. This is our vision. And this vision must be achieved. It must be achieved because when today you look at the African youths are something different. They are not the youths of other recent or other past years. These are some people who today knew themselves, who know who they are, they know what they want, and they know the history, they know where they came from, they know what they want, and they know what is supposed to be done to get what they want. So, my brothers and sisters across the world, when I sit here, I don't just make a content, but I'm trying to pass a message that I hope and believe that it has to hit many blacks as possible as it can. Because we've seen, I have experienced this happening. I've seen my friends doing the contents of African Americans, calling upon African Americans to come back in Africa. The content creators like Kenyan Beast, like African Streamline, like Eugene documentaries, like Early from Africa. They are doing this, and I've seen this working. I've seen and I've experienced. I've experienced when I accompanied my friend Kenyan Beast to go and receive some African Americans to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, who just came in the name of Kenyan Beast, because they felt, they received the message, and they came to realize, they came to testify, they came to prove if Africa is what they are being told, if Africa truly is their motherland, if Africa is where they belong. I came across an African American who was saying that he's rich, he have money, he have everything, he lives better life in America, but again, he's not comfortable. He's not comfortable because at the end of the day, he sit down and ask himself, he acquires everything. But again, he don't belong to that country. He don't belong to that country. He's very sure that when he leaves, his generation will not be in a safer place, will not be in a safer hands. So he lives in America, acquiring all that he needs in life, but his mind still thinks in Africa. He's still thinking on how to go back to Africa, how to achieve his ancestral dreams, how to achieve the agenda that was left behind by his ancestors who died under slavery in the country of America. He still thinks on how to be a real man when he settled in his ancestral background. Julius Maponga once said that being a man is when you have a land, the ancestral land, that when you left, your generation will be living in a land that was left by your ancestors. That's your original identity. And this is truth. This is the truth. The identity of a man is a land that was left by his ancestors. Because that's where your blessing is. That's where blessings are. That's when you belong. That's when you can get the support of your ancestors, because that is where their spirits lives. But when you cannot achieve this, then you have achieved nothing in your life. So Whenever I see some of the African leaders calling upon the unity of African American, I feel so happy because this is our prayer. This is what makes us to come and sit here each and every day and speak this. This is what pushes us to come and try to speak about unity, because I live to remember and listen to the living words of Kwame Nkrumah, as he was saying that he was not born Africa, but Africa was born in him. And he's very lesser than the African continent. He needs much to the African continent because Africa is where he was made, and he's supposed to protect his African continent from anything.
It is illegal to reproduce without land. Now, if you're a man and you start reproducing without territory, you're going to make sure that your children will inherit hunger and poverty. Never allow a man, young girls, to sleep with you in his car. Get land first. And if you really want to give it to him, give him on his father's land. Then the produce out of your tummy has an inheritance. When women take it from me, you are not, stop being called gold diggers. Start becoming land diggers. Start becoming land diggers. Connect your loins to the land. Don't marry a man, marry his land. Because it's only that then what is inside you can become like him, because it sits on what he owns.
Wow. But he failed. He failed by not uniting Africa. And that is, he's much worried. He's much worried that he died not being achieved. But he died believing that the coming generation will come to achieve this. And this is one of our achievements. This is one of our achievements that we must achieve. Julius Malema once said that we might not be there when Africa will be united, when Africa will be one. But again, the people who will be there will celebrate our achievement that we are doing today, our seeds that we are planting today. So we have to fight. As the black people, we were born to fight and win, but not failures. So I salute Captain Ibrahim Traore and Dr. Arikana for the great work they're doing, for coming, for inviting African Americans here who are coming, who are supposed to come and accomplish the mission that was left by their ancestors who died fighting for this great continent, who sacrificed their own life for this great continent. So sometimes I always say that this is not accidentally. Whatever you are watching today happening in Africa, like you are feeling like it's something that is happening in a mysterious way. This is not an accident action, but this is a spiritual awakening. This is a prophecy that's being achieved, because we always say that people don't die, but they rest. And as our African ancestors rested, they rested by they left completed missions and incompleted some of the uncompleted missions and agendas that they expected that we will be the one who will come to achieve this. So it is our time, our mission to make sure that it's being achieved. And may the spirits of our ancestors guide those people who are truly fighting for sovereignty and freedom of Africa. And may God of Africa and the black people stand and fight and protect Africans for achieving this great mission. I thank you very much for being here each and every time. Kindly subscribe, join membership, leave a comment so that we can meet on the next episode as we speak more concerning our motherland Africa. I thank you very much for being here each and every time. May you be blessed wherever you're watching from. I love and appreciate your support always. And thank you very much.